I used to question if it was even possible for me to become a reader because of how busy life gets. I'm a dad, I work a full-time job, and I'm probably no busier than you are, but there's a lot of hustle and bustle in my life. And for a long time, I would try to read books at the end of my day, and it just didn't work. But eventually I kind of figured it out. And now what I'm doing is I'm posting a video every single day for the next 30 days. And I think we're like a week into this thing. And it's been tough to be able to do that and still continue to keep up with my reading habit. If you've been here on the channel for a little while, you probably know that I set a goal to read the Bible in a year. And so this is directly competing with that. And it's been tough. And all this hustle and bustle can really weigh on your cognitive ability. Sometimes at the end of a long day, the last thing I want to do is open up a book. So how do I manage to maintain the habit despite having a busy lifestyle? The first thing I had to do was redefine what consistency meant, because I used to think it was about doing the same amount every day, but really it's about showing up where you are. As a dad, my circumstances are changing all the time. My schedule is, sometimes it's a hot mess, but what I try to do is just optimize for whatever my energy levels are going to be at for that day. Some days whenever there's a lot going on, I'm not going to have that much energy to read. And what I'm going to do is try to find those pockets of time within my day to try to read just a little bit. And honestly, when your days are just super packed with things and you have very low energy, just read a little bit. On the days where they're pretty normal, you can read just a normal amount. And the days where you don't feel like you've done anything and you feel like you've been actually pretty lazy, you can read a little more deeply. But it's not about showing up and doing 10 pages every day or reading for 30 minutes every day. It's about showing up at the energy level that you're at. What I've learned too is about whenever I put a bunch of pressure on myself to perform a certain type of way every single time, I'm not saying that you don't have standards or anything like that, but when I put like this crazy amount of pressure on myself, creates that resistance that I have to actually doing the thing. And so I found it much more better to kind of go with the flow of like what's going on in your life rather than just sitting there and having these rigid systems put in place. And that's the thing, a system's supposed to work for you, not against you. It's supposed to work with your brain, not against it. And if you feel like there's some resistance in your system, just refine it and make it into what it needs to be. Like for me, what I like to do, I carry a book with me everywhere that I go. My Bible sits with me out in the truck, but I also have the Bible on my phone. I have it in my bedroom, and I have a book in many different places. So at any point in time where I feel like I have a second to read and I know my day is gonna be crazy, I can pull out the book then. It can be on your lunch break, it could be while you're on the toilet, it could be at a doctor's appointment. You know, there's all these different ways that you can go about it. You can listen to a book, but it's really about just being consistent, because the more consistent you are, the more you're going to build that identity of becoming the reader. And once you see yourself as a reader, you start to tear down some of those limiting beliefs. Maybe you've been telling yourself your whole life that you're not a good reader. Well, I'm here to tell you that reading is a skill. And just like any skill, all you have to do to get better at it is just practice. One more thing I want to say that's been really helpful for me is knowing when to refill my cup. Like, I have a problem with just wanting to people please all the time, and knowing when to say no is actually really important, because when you say no to something, you're saying yes to your reading habit, your family, all these other things. So don't let distractions get in the way, because that's other things that are gonna be pulling at your energy. And so refill your cup, whether that's just like spending time with family or that's like doing something that's completely unproductive. I'm not telling you to be super rigid and be boring and not spend time with anybody, lock yourself in a room just to build your reading habit. But what I am saying is, like, think about those small little things in your life that are energy drainers and try to eliminate those so that you have the maximum amount of energy. That's things like sleep, drinking water, eating properly, working out. No, I sound like your doctor. But building the system to pour this energy into is the tricky part. So watch this video next, because I'm gonna share with you my reading system that helped me build my reading habit. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one.